That's what he did in the playoffs last season. 0-4 in his career. Folk kicks it away, and waiting for it is Rock Cartwright, who takes it from inside the end zone. And he slides down a hair shy of the 20. Kevin Burnett downfield to make the tackle, or at least fall on top of the sliding Rock Cartwright. Here's the offensive line. And out at right tackle, it's John Jansen, who for 9 years was the starter. He takes the place of Stefan Heyer, who's out with a bad shoulder. And there is Jason Campbell, who seems to get better week by week.
Boy, it sure looked good last week. And I think one of the real keys is because Jim Zorn, as the play caller, opened things up. And Jason Campbell responded very favorably to that.
A blitz on the first play from Dallas. Redskins pick it up, and the first completion of the day is out to Antoine Randall L., a gain of 4. Take a look at this Dallas defense, which checks into this game tied for 9th overall in the NFL. It's a 3-4, and one guy we never talk about, Troy, as you look at the radio helmet wearer, Brady James, the inside linebacker, is the guy up front in the middle, Jay Ratliff. Boy, he has really played well.
And probably coming off his best game of the season, Joe, last week against Green Bay. He's a hard-working guy. He plugs the middle, and as you said, he gets a great push in the middle.
Here is Portis, and there is nothing. So third down and relatively long coming up. And for Clinton Portis, he has, in 3 previous games, never really gotten anything going on the ground for the Redskins.
Yeah, you talk about Jay Ratliff and what he's able to do in the middle. They just are unable to move him out. He holds up inside. There's no cutback lane there for Portis. And Robach, the center for Washington, he's going to have his hands full with him all afternoon.
Third down and 6. Good pocket for Campbell, and he hits with Moss, who has a first down. Let's go for a game break. Here's Kurt Menefee.
Believe it or not, you've never seen Brett Favre do this before. This is Favre's 6th, that's right, 6th touchdown pass of the game. First time in his storied career he's done that. Jets add a 2-point conversion and lead it 56-35 over Arizona in the 4th quarter. Back to Dallas, Joe, Troy, and Pam.
Well, they will definitely go up in the BCS rankings with that 2-point conversion.
And to think that Brett Favre almost didn't play today. With that bad ankle.
He's a warrior. Here is Portis out of the backfield, and he picks up roughly 10. They're going to give him forward progress for a first down, and so 2 first downs on this opening possession for the Redskins.
Well, DeMarcus Ware, he has been a nuisance for Chris Samuels there on that left side, throughout the last couple of years. But Chris Samuels knew coming into this game that this is going to be one of the key matchups on that key third down conversion. He did a real nice job on DeMarcus Ware, holding him out. But last year, DeMarcus Ware had 1 sack in each of these 2 meetings.
Pressure from the Cowboys. Another completion of Moss, and Santana inside Dallas territory to the 44. An 11-yard catch and then run by Santana Moss. And I started to reference Clinton Portis in his 3 previous games here in Dallas. He's averaged 40 yards rushing per game, 39 attempts. You would have to think that that's going to change here, or have to change, if the Redskins are going to have success.
Well, you would think, but from what we've seen so far of them and Jason Campbell, there's been a lot of space out there in that secondary throwing the football.
Here is Portis on a delayed handoff, and Clinton Portis picks up 3.
And the one thing I'll say to that, Joe, is we've covered Clinton Portis for a number of years now, and I know coming into this ball game here today, he's averaging only 3.8 yards per carry. Last year it was just a little bit more than that. But whatever yardage he gets, it's all that's there to get. He's one of the toughest running backs certainly that I have seen. There's a tough one on the other side of the ball too in Marion Barber, but this will be fun for our fans at home to watch these two great players run.
Campbell has started this game 4 for 4. He started last week hitting on his first 8 passes. A toss to Portis running over the right side. He picks up 6. And he is going to be about a yard shy of the first down.
You know, I thought it was interesting in talking with Jim Zorn yesterday and really where he got his thoughts about being a play caller. Obviously, he was around a great one in Mike Holmgren there in Seattle for a number of years. And he said, you know, Mike Holmgren would go along with the script, and then all of a sudden there'd be a surprise play in there. And, you know, when you get over the 40-yard line and you're in this position, this is a good time, a good opportunity to maybe take a shot.
A timeout is taken for those of you just joining us, opening possession of the game. And the Redskins have put together a nice little drive here to start their day. 3rd down and 1. And there was a little bit of confusion, so Campbell had to spend a timeout. There is no doubt, Troy, that the NFC East now has the reputation of being the best division, not just in the NFC, but across the NFL. All 4 teams have winning records. 8-0 when they played outside their own division. And when you look at the points that they have put up, it has been a dominant start for this division. It's kind of a return to glory for the NFC East.
Yeah, you know, I agree, Joe. And there was a period not too long ago where that was not the case. But I know that when I came into the league in '89, you know, that's the way the NFC was. We always felt, and the other teams did as well. Washington, the Giants, the Philadelphia Eagles, they knew that if you could win in the NFC East, you could go outside the division and win anywhere. The reason I say maybe take a shot here, I would think if they don't make it, you'd go for it on 4th down.
They split Sellers out, the fullback, to the top of your screen, and penalty flags will blow it dead. And it's a false start, so it becomes 3rd and 6. Walt Anderson is our referee here today.
False start, number 79, offense. 5-yard penalty, still 3rd down.
Number 79 is an extra offensive lineman, Lorenzo Alexander, who they bring in on short yardage, and he started too soon.
He's right here. He comes in, and sometimes you get out there on these key 3rd downs, and it's just difficult to hear the quarterback, and you're anticipating because you want to get off on the ball. But when you're that far away, the ball, obviously, as we saw, was being run away from him. He was not going to be a key factor in making the block to make that play work anyway.
Quick throw, Moss dropped it. Pac-Man with coverage.
Looked like a pretty good ball, and you got Santana Moss, who's able to get to the inside. That's where you wanted to go. He did a good move off the line of scrimmage to get Pac-Man Jones to his outside to create the opening. He's just unable to make the play.
So now Brooks will punt it, and Patrick Creighton waits deep. See how the rookie does in pinning it down near the Dallas end zone. Fair catch called for by Creighton, takes it in at the 10. Have a new audience that just joined us, and if you are in that group, we saw the Washington Redskins take the opening kickoff, pick up a few first downs, but after a penalty on 3rd and 1 for a false start, brought up 3rd and 6, an incompletion to Santana Moss, and now the Cowboys, who are number 1 in the NFL, averaging 440 yards per game and in the top 3 at 32 points per game. Offensively, they take over at their own 10. Dallas 3-0, the Redskins 2-1. Romo looking left the entire time, and he finds Terrell Owens. Working on Sean Springs, a gain of 7, and we look at this offense, which is anchored up front with one of, if not the game's best offensive lines.
Well, you know, this team, I mean, obviously Tony Romo and Terrell Owens, Jason Witten, Marion Barber, they're the ones that are going to get all the accolades, and that's pretty typical in this league. But that offensive line is the reason why this group has been as good as they've been.
On on second down. Delayed handoff. Marion Barber, who just lowers his head and bowls right through the rookie. Right through Chris Horton, and that picks up a first down.
And what we're seeing right now from the Washington Redskins, Sean Springs is going to be covering Terrell Owens man-to-man in coverage. And then you've got the handoff on the opposite side to Marion Barber, and a guy who just does not avoid contact. In fact, a lot of conversation around Dallas about whether or not he's going to have much longevity in this profession. He probably won't, but he's going to be awfully good while he's on the field.
On first down, pass complete. That's Miles Austin. Had a huge game at Green Bay last Sunday night. 13 yards and another Dallas first down. And Troy, here's another Dallas weapon, and a guy that Tony Romo told us when he was injured week 1, he's got a chance to be a difference maker out on the outside for us.
Well, he's another playmaker, and when you start looking at this roster, whether it's offensively or defensively, it's filled with playmakers. I mean, Miles Austin last week, 2 big catches in that game against Green Bay. He's very explosive. He's a big target with great hands.
A blitz from the Redskins. Romo lets it go and throws it out of bounds. Springs was out there working on Terrell Owens. You take a look at the defense. They are without Jason Taylor. That means Demetric Evans gets the start, and Jason Taylor, the 6-time Pro Bowler, is missing his first start in 133 consecutive games. And London Fletcher is not a big guy. Big heart, 5'10", 245, and he's the man in the middle. Second down and 10. Quick snap. Marion Barber trips up and brought down right at the line of scrimmage. 3rd and 10 coming up.
And 3rd and 10, and as we talk about each week, Joe, I mean, games like this that you know are going to be close, they come down to who wins on 3rd down. The Cowboys enter this game #1 in the National Football League, converting on 3rd down. The Washington Redskins, on the other hand, not nearly as good defensively. They come in ranked 24th, but this is going to be a key down throughout this ball game.
That was Witten in motion. 3rd down and 10. Over the middle, it's Witten, brought down short of a first down. And there's Horton again. How about Chris Horton? They got him in the 249th pick in the draft. He's kind of taken over at the strong safety position. Defensive Player of the Week in week 2, and that was a nice tackle.
Well, Chris Horton, as you said, Joe, I mean, when he comes in, he's a young guy. He's raw. There's a lot for him to learn. What he lacks in experience, he makes up for speed and range. He's an awfully talented player. The thing I liked on that last play was that he was able to bring down Jason Witten in the open field and keep him from getting to a first down.
McBriar punts it. Antoine Randall L. takes it in at the 5. Usually a no-no, and he cannot make it to the 20. Brought down just outside the 18 by Burnett. And a 13-yard return, which, by the way, is his longest of the season. Let's go down to the field and check in for the first time today with Pam Oliver.
Well, Joe, to add a little something to how you guys opened the game, the Redskins constantly changing their offense. Hasn't exactly been a picnic for the wide receivers either. I had a chance to talk to their top 2. Antoine Randall L. explained he is still very much learning Zorn's West Coast offense. He said before, under Al Saunders, zoom meant motion. Now it means formation. Santana Moss added that he appreciates how much this offense keeps the wide receivers involved, especially in the red zone. Before, the wideouts had to block down inside the 20. Now they have a chance to catch some passes.
Thank you, Pam. Here is Portis over the left side, a gain of 1.
And Pam's absolutely right, and these receivers are right, because it's a completely different system. What they were in before is what they're running here in Dallas, the same system that they're running in San Diego and a few other places. And now you bring in this West Coast, and the biggest difference, yes, there's some adjustments that have to be made within the routes, splits, the depths on the routes. But the biggest adjustment for all players, not just wide receivers, is having to learn a new terminology. You have to forget what you learned last year and start fresh.
2nd down and 9. Campbell looks right. Threw for Cooley, and it was broken up by Brady James.
Brady James is really the leader of this defensive group, and we all know that Washington likes to get the ball into the hands of Chris Cooley. Brady James recognizing that very, very well, knowing that Cooley was going to be running that quick out and came underneath it. A ball that had maybe been thrown behind him could have spelled danger for Washington.
Second possession for the Redskins. A punt ended their first drive. It's 3rd and 9. Campbell goes down in the arms of Canty. First sack of the year for Chris Canty.
Well, they run a twist with DeMarcus Ware. You're going to see he comes back underneath, and then that then takes two guys with him. And it frees up Chris Canty. You see that Clinton Portis goes over. He's got his eyes on DeMarcus Ware. When he comes over to help, that's what freed up Chris Canty for the sack.
Line drive punt. Pretty good leg shown here by Brooks. And Adam Pac-Man Jones catches it over his shoulder. Makes it across the 35. And that's it. 3rd down and 9. Number 99, Chris Canty. Makes his defensive coordinator, Brian Stewart, awfully happy. Somebody putting a star in the back of their hair.
That's commitment, isn't it?
That's commitment. And artistic work. Out of the backfield, it's Barber catching it on the run. London Fletcher pushes him out with a gain of 5. Let's look at some of the early game headliners. We told you about Brett Favre, but we got the update. 6 touchdown passes in that win over the Cardinals. I guess the Cardinals shouldn't have stayed out on the East Coast in preparation for that game. Larry Johnson's probably saying, see, I told you so, as Kansas City beats Denver 33-19, and then Drew Brees is leading the world in passing yardage. Another big day.
You know, you get into week 4 and things start to shake themselves out as far as who the teams are, who's going to rise and all that. But I tell you, you look at those scores there and you think, boy, we don't know anything more today than we did last week.
Marion Barber lost a yard. Good play up front. The first guy to hit him was Cornelius Griffin. Rocky McIntosh, who is coming back from that knee injury last year, a torn ACL, cut his season short, was in there, and now it's 3rd and 6. See baseball scores mixed in the Fox box, and we'll talk about that as we go along here today. Felix Jones in the backfield for the first time for the Cowboys. And the setup and throw, and there is Smoot making a play in front of Witten. Good coverage by Fred Smoot. Almost came away with a pick, but he at least forces 4th down.
Yeah, he sat on this route, and I like what Washington does here. They have Smoot get physical, maybe a little too physical at the top of that route, but I like putting Smoot on Jason Witten. If they're going to split him out, why not treat him like a wide receiver and put a corner on him? That's a good matchup. I think that favors Washington.
So another punt from Matt McBriar. Lets this one fly, and Antoine Randall L. will try it again. Out to the 20, and that is all. We get to take a break. So do you. We'll come back. No score in Dallas. Redskins will have it at their own 20. Hank Stram used to call it a taffy pull. That's what it's been so far. 3rd possession for the Redskins. Trying to win for the 3rd weekend in a row. Last 2 weeks they've dominated the 4th quarter to get victories, and now they're trying to start off a little better on the road here at Dallas. Campbell over the middle, and Moss looked like he lost his footing making his break. Let's go for a game break, and here's Kurt.
All right, baseball, final day of the regular season. CeCe Sabathia has been a brilliant pickup for the Brewers. He gets a double play to end the game, a complete game, 3-1 victory. Now Milwaukee won. The Mets are trailing 4-2 right now against the Florida Marlins. If that stays up, then Milwaukee will win the National League wild card. If the Mets come back, then there's a 1-game playoff tomorrow. You know all about this, Joe.
I do. Here is Liddell Betts over the left side on 2nd down. He picks up 3. If it stays as is and Milwaukee is the wild card, then you've got the Dodgers opening up at the Cubs and Milwaukee starting in Philadelphia. That's the good news for Milwaukee. The bad news is Sabathia is going to be worn out by the time the playoffs start. Sheets wasn't good yesterday, so now what? Who do they have on the mound when they open up at Philly? Here's 3rd and 7 now for the Redskins. Pressure on Campbell, steps up and now goes down. DeMarcus Ware is in there again.
You know, they're putting 2 guys on DeMarcus Ware. They chip him with Clinton or with Liddell Betts. You're going to see him go over and chip DeMarcus there, but he comes underneath it. And sometimes the chip is not as beneficial as what you would think. And as we saw, it knocked him then off of Samuels and right in to Jason Campbell.
Adam Jones on the return for Dallas. Decent return of 4 yards. Kareem Moore on the tackle. Well, DeMarcus Ware now 7 straight games, a sack. He gets Jason Campbell and gives the football back to his offense. Jason Campbell's been under some pressure, feeling the heat. He's been sacked twice, once by Canty, the latest by DeMarcus Ware, who now has 18 sacks in his last 18 games. Good field position to start for Dallas at their own 40. Romo throws out of the reach of Terrell Owens, and we've seen a lot of that matchup, Sean Springs and Terrell Owens.
Well, this is what we're doing. We're seeing Sean Springs. He's matching up with Terrell Owens everywhere he goes, and some of the times he's doing that by himself, as he is there. But other times he's got a safety, as we see LaRon Landry is working his way to give him a little bit of help so he can sit and be a little more physical on some of the underneath routes. And this is a job that he had last week against Arizona and Anquan Bolden, and he was outstanding. He held Anquan Bolden to only 3 receptions in that game. And then think back to last week, Charles Woodson with Green Bay went with Terrell Owens and held him to only 2 receptions.
Here's Creighton making a catch and then somehow stopping his momentum before he bangs into the bench, as Carlos Rogers gave him a nice friendly shove out of bounds. It's 3rd and 5. Carlos Rogers had the big interception last week that set up the game-winning touchdown in the Redskins' victory over Arizona. And after starting 2-0, the Arizona Cardinals are now 2-2 with their loss to the Jets at Giant Stadium today. 3rd and 5. Romo, pressure, Creighton wide open, down inside the 35. Patrick Creighton had 6 catches for 82 yards in week 1 at Cleveland. He's been relatively quiet since. He's been busy today.
Well, this time, not only do they double Terrell Owens, but they're going to play inside out on Jason Witten, Rocky McIntosh, and London Fletcher. They can't double everybody. Now you got Patrick Creighton. That's the double on Terrell Owens, but Patrick Creighton one-on-one is then able to beat his guy, Carlos Rogers.
For Dallas, that's their 18th play of 20 or more yards. That's the most in the NFL. They get him in big bites. Just get it away. Play action. Romo. Good coverage downfield and a completion to the rookie Martellus Bennett. But he is just back at the line of scrimmage. It could have been a sack. Brings up 2nd and 10.
Well, I think it just shows you on that previous play what Green Bay experienced last week and what most defenses do from week to week, and that Jason Garrett, the offensive coordinator, he has so many weapons at his disposal, and not all of them obviously are of the talents of Jason Witten or Terrell Owens, but they're great role players, and they know exactly what they're being asked to do within this offense, and it's hard. It's hard to match up with these guys. You double Witten, you double Terrell Owens, then all of a sudden you got Patrick Creighton making a key down.
They give a reverse handoff to Terrell Owens. Horton forces him out. A gain of only 4. So they're just trying to get it into the hands of Terrell Owens after his 2-catch 17-yard performance in that win at Green Bay last week. 4-6.
Sorry, Joe. I think they look at it and say, well, we looked his way. We're trying to throw the football to him, and that's not working. Let's just hand it to him, and maybe that'll keep him happy for a few more downs.
Stay with us, T.O. We're trying. We're trying to get it to you. 3rd down and 6. Romo steps up and flings it out of the reach of Owens. Penalty flag comes flying on the play out of the secondary.
Holding, number 22. Defense. 5-yard penalty. First down.
The automatic first down on the hold by Carlos Rogers.
Yeah, you see the jersey get pulled there, and you got an official that's watching that. That was an easy call, and Patrick Creighton agrees with it.
So first down at the 21 for this Dallas offense, which scored 455 points last year, second best total in club history. Throwing up a lot of points here at the start of 08. That's Felix Jones, the rookie, in motion. Romo over the middle. Witten, touchdown.
Well, they motion Felix Jones to the left, and you're going to see the adjustment then that has to be made. London Fletcher moves out. That puts Witten one-on-one with Marcus Washington, and they'll steal from him all day if that's going to be the coverage that they're going to use with that offensive set. Marcus Washington, although a very good player, cannot run with Jason Witten.
And it's 7-0 Dallas. A defensive penalty by Rogers kept the drive alive. And then 21 yards from Tony Romo, his 6th touchdown pass of the year, as Witten gets his first. 7-0 Cowboys. Jason Witten has the most catches by a tight end since the start of last year. He just got his first touchdown catch of this season. Holding penalty on 3rd down kept the drive alive, and then Tony Romo completed his 6th touchdown pass of the year. Cartwright shields his eyes from the sun. Wow, what a hit. That is why they brought Keith Davis back. Signed by Miami in the offseason. Cut loose. They brought him back to Dallas. One of the best on special teams in the league. What a hit. Mike Sellers got up and was able to get off to the sideline under his own power. He's fine. They're the offensive leaders for this Washington Redskins team, who have won only once in their last 12 games here at Texas Stadium. Campbell throws, and that's James Thrash, who's out to the 26, a gain of 6, and we go back to that Jason Witten touchdown.
Yeah, and we've got it in sync here, and what you're going to see is Jason Witten in the route that he runs. He's going to push this to the outside, which forces Washington then to make this angle here, and it gives Tony Romo just a great place to put the football.
7-0. The Dallas Cowboys lead after one. Second quarter coming up after this from your local Fox station. As you look at the first quarter stats, realize that the Redskins went 45 yards on their first drive. Their last 2 drives, they've lost a total of 7 yards with 2 3-and-outs, and here they are down by 7. Second down and 5. A blitz from Dallas. Redskins pick it up, and Antoine Randall, what a good throw from Campbell in the open field as he gets it out to the 43-yard line. A 17-yard catch and run.
Number 26, tackle.
You're going to see Zach Thomas. They're going to run a little twist here. He's going to come this way. And you got Mike Sellers, who does a good job of getting up in there and making the stop. And the one thing about it, whether it's Mike Sellers or Liddell Betts, Clinton Portis, these guys really do an excellent job in seeing blitz and then also picking it up and giving Campbell some time to throw the football.
It was a good throw by Campbell out to Antoine Randall L. on the move, and there is the horse collar tackle on Santana Moss. It was Anthony Henry. The rule is to get the flag, you have to bring the man with the ball all the way to the ground to get it called against you. They threw the flag. The officials now get together and will get the call. And here is Henry grabbing jersey. And I think you could make the case that he let it go. He stopped his momentum. But really the tackle by Zach Thomas is what brought Moss to the ground.
There is no foul for a horse collar tackle. It's second down.
Second down and 3. So they pick up the flag as Henry didn't bring him down. And Redskins trying to get something going through the air. They have yet to get anything moving on the ground with Clinton Portis.
Well, what I like what they've done up to this point, Joe, is they've hit some of the underneath things. When you've got a guy like Santana Moss on Anthony Henry, that's a matchup that favors Washington. Now I'm ready for them to take the shot down the field.
Here is Portis. There's his best run, and he bulls forward for a first down. Let's go down to Pam Oliver.
Well, Joe, it's a well-known fact that Jason Campbell has a tendency to lock in on one guy. And speaking with Cowboys defensive coordinator Brian Stewart before the game, he had some definite ideas on how he wanted to exploit that. Stewart said he wanted to try to take away Campbell's first option, force him to his second and third reads, which he hoped would produce some sacks, and it has already twice today.
Yep, 2 sacks, one by Canty, the other by DeMarcus Ware, who keeps his string alive. 7 straight games with a sack. Now first down Washington. They hand it to Antoine Randall L. Pretty good blocking out in front of him. And then Brady James swallows him up after a gain of 4. Look, all right, Kurt, well, we almost won last week on the road at Buffalo. If you want more info on that game, you can log on to foxsports.com or NFL.com.
Who's coaching that team today?
Not quite certain. Which one? Here's Portis over the right side. First down, Washington. Yeah, Lane Kiffin. I mean, we keep talking about his situation, Troy. And then the other one is in St. Louis, where just about every quote-unquote NFL insider has Scott Linehan fired. And the latest report is that he'll be fired after the game and replaced by Jim Haslett. And look at that score on the top of your screen. They're beating Buffalo 14-6.
Maybe that's how you get your team to win these days. You just threaten to fire your head coach right away.
Somebody get Glazer on the line. We need to get a win. First down, Washington, down by 7. Campbell throws, hits Antoine Randall again, who has a first down. Eventually dropped by Henry after a gain of 13, and this has been an impressive little dink and dunk. This is the West Coast offense we're looking at.
Yeah, and it was an impressive drive to open up the game. I thought, you know, they had the penalty, and then they had to end up punting, and they've got a nice drive going again here. And I just think that watching Jim Zorn and the way in which he has called plays, starting from week 1 against the New York Giants, and then against the New Orleans Saints, and then last week against Arizona, and here today, I see a guy who's gotten more comfortable in a really short period of time of calling to win the game and not being as conservative as he was in week 1.
Campbell, a little pump fake, throws, hits Santana Moss, who's down inside the 5. Campbell absorbed a hit, but he hung in there and hit Moss first and goal.
I mean, these are calls right now on first down that Jim Zorn is making, that if you're really trying to protect a young quarterback that is still learning this West Coast offense, then you probably don't come out and do these kinds of things. But yet, I think Jim Zorn knows that this is what we have to do if we're going to give ourselves a chance to win football games, much like what they're doing in Dallas. Very aggressive. And I like what he's done up to this point.
Campbell, the 25th overall pick in 05. Third offense in 4 years, and he looks good. 5 for 5 on this possession. First and goal, quick setup and throw, and it's right into the ground in the direction of Moss.
Well, I tell you, they have run that slant play so many times, and I know that they got some key completions last week against Arizona on that, and they've run it several times here in this first half. You know, I would look, because the Cowboys, as we saw even on that last play, they're starting to anticipate that slant and jump it. You know, I would expect to see a little slant and go move here real soon.
That's Henry out there. And he will be lined up across from Moss. Bottom of your screen at 2nd and goal. Little roll to the right. That's Thrash, and that's a touchdown for Washington. James Thrash just hit in stride with a perfect toss from Jason Campbell.
Well-designed play there by Washington. They're going to run him in motion. You're going to see Thrash in motion. You got Terrence Newman, and he slips on the double move there in motion, and that's why he was so wide open getting to the corner. Very well done. You anticipate some of that, but when he made the double move on the movement, it's when he got the separation.
Must be slick down on that field. We've seen a couple of guys go in motion, try and change direction and slide down. It worked against the home team there. Newman went down. Thrash has his first touchdown of the season. And we're tied at 7. An impressive drive, to say the least, put together by the Redskins. 10 plays, covering 79 yards and 5 minutes off the clock, which not only ties the game, but keeps the ball away from Tony Romo and friends. Here's Felix Jones, who already has 1 kick return for a touchdown. Troy, these guys can't keep their feet on that turf. A 6-yard return, and then down he went. Here's the touchdown that tied it. Terrence Newman, a little upset that he slipped and fell. We're tied at 7. Good numbers put up by both quarterbacks so far. It's a 7-7 game, and Dallas will start at their own 9. After Felix Jones slipped and fell down on that last return. They start with it on the ground with Marion Barber over the left side, and there's not much. Maybe got half a yard. We'll give him 1 at 2nd down and 9. What, sir, did we just see the Washington Redskins do against this Dallas defense?
Well, that was very impressive. I mean, against a good defensive unit for them to move the football. And I mean, Jason Campbell looks like he picked up right where he left off last week, in that game against Arizona. But the score was big, and scoring the touchdown was huge, because the last thing you can afford to do against a high-scoring offense like Dallas is get behind. Jim Zorn talked to us. He said he wanted to be balanced. By tying the score, regardless of what happens here on this possession, he can continue to do that.
Here is a pass broken up. It's off the arm of Springs and somehow into the arms of a diving Jason Witten. Great coverage by Sean Springs. And when things are going right for an offense, stuff like this happens.
And it seems like they've been going right like this for the Cowboys for quite some time. I mean, we've seen it in previous games this year when they've had some balls that have been popped up or have been on the ground and they've been able to recover it. And even last year, I mean, if you think back to that, last year they had 21 fumbles, which is one of the most in the league. But they had a league low only 5 that were recovered by the opponent.
It's 3rd down and 3 now. Big opportunity here for this Redskins defense. Pass to Terrell Owens is broken up, and Springs is having a good first half. Sean Springs is all over Terrell Owens. 4th down.
Well, it looked like the ball was late, Joe, from Tony Romo, because Terrell's going to have to slow down to make this catch. And because he does slow down, it allows Sean Springs then to drive on the ball. But Sean Springs, as I said a little bit earlier, did a great job last week against one of the premier wide receivers in the league, Anquan Bolden. Physically, very much the same in stature as what Terrell Owens is, and he's having a pretty good game here in this first half against Terrell Owens.
Springs and TL have worked out before in the offseason, and you're not talking about a young guy. Springs is in his 12th year. And it's a false start here against Dallas, and there are fans that are packed in.
False start, number 25, offense. 5-yard penalty, still 4th down.
There's 65,000 plus fans packed into Texas Stadium wondering what the heck's going on here in the first half of the game.
Well, yeah, because, and it's a 7-7 game, and it's just that, the Dallas fans are used to a lot of fireworks when it comes to their offense. And, the Washington Redskins holding Dallas out of the end zone there on the first possession of the game, the first time. This year, the Dallas has not scored on their opening possession, so that was a good sign for Washington right from the start.
Ugly punt by McBriar. That takes a bounce and goes out of bounds near midfield. That wasn't very good. Not much going the way of the Dallas Cowboys other than that deflection, and the Redskins, who have just tied it, have it back at their own 49. This rivalry continues, and quite possibly the last time that the Redskins will visit Texas Stadium unless they hook up in the postseason. You see what happened the last time they had the ball down the field, tied the game. Campbell throws, and that ball looked like it was deflected. It is 2nd and 10. Let's go to Kurt Menefee for baseball news. Kurt.
The National League playoff picture is set. Mets needing a win to force a one-game playoff for the wild card. Man on, 2 out, but Ryan Church flies out to end the game. Florida gets the victory, which means that because Milwaukee beat the Cubs earlier today, the Brewers are the wild card out of the National League, their first time in the postseason since 1982, Joe.
First time, you're right, since '82, and Harvey's wall bangers against Whitey Herzog in the World Series that year. Cardinals won it in 7 games. A toss to Portis running to the right, picks up 6. Steve Horn, our editorial consultant in the booth, laying this information on me. Sabathia, 3 consecutive starts on 3 days rest today, 122 pitches. He was 11 and 2 with the Brewers, and finally getting to the postseason, he was worth Matt Laporta and some of the kids they gave up to get him from the Indians. 3rd down and 4 for the Redskins. Movement on the left side as Cooley gets his first catch, good for a first down. There is a flag on the field. It's an offside, so the play will stand, and that's a first down.
They got offsides by the Dallas Cowboys.
Offside, number 94, defense. Penalty is declined. First down.
And then Jason Campbell knows that he's got a free play. Chris Cooley, running a pretty simple route. And there is a lot of space underneath right now. As you talked about a little bit earlier, Joe, they have predominantly thrown the underneath routes. And I'm surprised that the Cowboys haven't started hugging up on that a little bit more with these linebackers. And then my guess is that once they do show that they are going to start crowding it a little bit, now they're going to start trying to hit those intermediate throws.
Play action from Campbell, who gets away from Ware and flips to a wide open Moss. Ware almost brought down Campbell, and then Santana Moss was led out of bounds with a 28-yard catch.
Yeah, and I thought overall Samuels did a pretty good job on this play because he had some time. Jason Campbell had some time if he had been able to move up in the pocket, but having said that, he avoids the sack, and then he's able to find Santana Moss, who the Cowboys just completely turned loose. I mean, you think back to the last 2 weeks, Dallas defensively has given up over 250 yards in passing. And Jason Campbell's well on his way to do that again here today.
Washington's longest play of the day, 28 yards, sets up 1st and goal, and Portis takes it down to the 3.
I thought it was interesting too, Joe, in visiting with Jim Zorn, and obviously new to this rivalry. He has faced the Dallas Cowboys in recent years while he was with Seattle, so he knows what they're about. He knows they're a good football team, big, physical. But he's very confident, and the Redskins should be confident, even though I believe they've only won once in the last 13 times they've traveled here to Texas Stadium. They've always played well, and they had a chance last year to beat Dallas, and then Jason Campbell had the interception late, but they've played them very, very well in recent years.
2nd down and goal. Here's Portis trying to bounce it, and he cannot get away. It was Patrick Watkins who had his hands around the legs of Clinton Portis, and that little hesitation did not allow him to break loose and get into the end zone.
Yeah, now 3rd and goal. This is a tough call for any play caller. Do you try to run it in? If you drop back and pass, there's not a lot of air down there when you're talking about throwing the ball from the 2-yard line. Of course, the one thing Jason Campbell can't afford to have, he can't afford to be sacked. The sack is not going to affect then the attempt on a field goal, so he doesn't have to try to force anything on this play.
On 3rd and goal, Campbell looked left, now flips over the middle for the touchdown. Antoine Randall L. And what a good job of Jason Campbell not panicking, scanning the field and finally locking on to Antoine Randall L.
And how about what Brian Stewart said, saying Jason Campbell's not getting to his 3rd progression in the read. Watch this. Jason Campbell's going to start to his left is where he wants to throw the slant. He gets off it. He gets to his 3rd on the progression, and it's for a touchdown.
This to make it a 7-point Redskins lead with under 5.5 to go in the half. Redskins have won the last 2 weeks. They beat New Orleans. They beat Arizona. This would be in a different category. First-year head coach Jim Zorn dialing up winners. 14-7 Skins. Players getting together. That's Marcus Washington on the right. They're about to head back onto the field. So far, so good against the #1 ranked offense in the league, the Dallas Cowboys. Another chance for Felix Jones, the electrifying rookie. Not so electrifying here. Out of bounds near the 25. And one of Troy Aikman's favorite people, let alone favorite weapons, is our focus as we go down memory lane and look at Jay Novacek. Played 5 years for the Cardinals, and then Troy really blossomed here with you with the Dallas Cowboys, and now he spends time on his ranch.
Time on his ranch with his little daughter McKinley, and one of the really great people that ever donned a uniform in the National Football League. And that one catch that we saw was in Super Bowl 30 there in Phoenix, and that would go on to be the last game that I would throw a pass to Jay Novacek. Little did I know he would hurt his back in the offseason and never played again, but he was one of the greats.
There is more certainly about Jay Novacek after this first play. Romo to the sideline and off the hands of Terrell Owens, and he cannot shake Sean Springs. Back in 1995 on Thanksgiving, here was a play that I know stands out to you.
Yeah, I think this was the signature play. You see him hurdle the defender right there. Little did people know Jay Novacek was a decathlete, and actually at one time thought that he may be in the Olympics, and so that tells you what kind of athlete he was. He showed it there certainly, and we were never the same offensively, and that's why I think the Cowboys, if they were to lose a guy like Jason Witten, I think they'd be hard-pressed to even make the playoffs.
2nd down and 10. Marion Barber, not much. London Fletcher was there to stop it for the Redskins. And really, that started to change things for the tight end position. And you think about these two teams here. They've got Chris Cooley on the Redskins. You've got Jason Witten on the Cowboys. And yet both teams spent high draft picks on receiving-type tight ends.
Well, I know when we lost Jay Novacek, Jerry Jones made the comment, well, we need to go get another guy like Jay Novacek, and then I agree, but those guys just aren't out there, you know. But now you look around the league, there are so many of those types of players, and they really have. The tight end position, more than any other position, has changed the game here in the last 10 years.
A blitz from Washington and a pass incomplete from Miles Austin. So it's a 3-and-out for the Dallas offense, and it's been a much more impressive day on that Washington sideline than it has been so far for the Cowboys.
Yeah, and I think that this is a Cowboy team. They come into this game leading the league in plays of 20 yards or more. Last year, they led the league in plays of 20 yards or more. That's great when you're getting them. But when you're not getting those big plays and you're not getting first downs, I think that as an offense you tend to get frustrated. And I think that's what Dallas has got to try to avoid here in this first half.
Here's another ugly punt. It gives Antoine Randall L a chance for a return. A line drive punt, and Randall L is out to the 39-yard line after a 14-yard return. Burnett again on the stop. Washington with a lead and the football. You will find the Premier Division in the NFL here on Fox, and here's some key upcoming games. Washington and Philadelphia next week. We'll be there for that. Dallas at Arizona on the 12th. On the 19th, the Giants will host San Francisco. And the Giants are at Pittsburgh the weekend after that. Another game later in the year, which you should circle, is this Dallas Cowboys team playing at Pittsburgh. And It'll be fun to be there for that. Campbell going to put it up again, and he's going for it all. Behind the defense is Moss, and he sets up 1st and goal again. There's that deep shot you've been looking for. They dial it up. Campbell had time to get it downfield, and Moss was absolutely all alone.
Yeah, the play action is what solidifies the protection up front. Good job there, 7-man protection, and then Campbell stepping up in the pocket. Double move on the outside. Newman jumps on it. You know, I talked about maybe going with the double move off the slant. They go double move off the comeback, and Newman wanting to jump the route allows Moss to get up the sideline. If Campbell had been able to get any more arm on that, that's a touchdown. Now, he was running up in the pocket. He was fortunate to even be able to get it out as far as he did.
Santana Moss, 6 catches, 125 yards already. This is Liddell Betts, who's down inside the 5.
And I think that last play was the play that Jim Zorn talked about when he said, hey, I want to be balanced, I want to run the football, I want to take my underneath throws, and then I want to surprise them, and I want to be able to take a shot down the field, and that's the first real shot that we've seen down the field, and I think they set it up beautifully. I think they go over there and they look at the Polaroids, and they show that, hey, these defensive backs are really sitting on us, and I'm sure that was communicated by Santana Moss as well.
2nd and goal. The ball is at the 5. Liddell Betts over the left side, cannot get in. He gets it to the 2.
Liddell Betts.
Zach Thomas. The inside linebacker is there to make the tackle for Dallas. Now here we are coming up on the 2-minute warning at Texas Stadium. Washington not only with a lead, but a chance to add to it right now.
Yeah, now Jim Zorn is faced with that same call that he had on the previous possession. 3rd and goal from the 2-yard line. We saw what they did on the last time they were in this situation. They had Campbell drop back and throw the touchdown. Now, you know, are they going to do something different, maybe off play action, or are they going to try to run the football?
You can see the play clock and the game clock are a little off. And so the Redskins have to use a timeout as they try to take it to the 2-minute warning. In essence, we get there, but they didn't want to get a delay of game call.
Yeah, and I think that's really, really smart by Jim Zorn, because now you take as much time off the clock, assuming that you're going to score here on a touchdown, or even if not, if you're going to settle for a field goal, try to take as much time off so that Dallas doesn't have all that much time to go down the field and score themselves.
2-minute warning here in Dallas. A very important 3rd and goal when we come back. Because the difference in the time clock and the play clock was so negligible, they let it wind down to 2 minutes left. They have just given the timeout back to Washington. So they have 2 left. But the focus now is on 3rd and goal with the Redskins up 7 already. Quick setup and throw from Moss, and he is out of bounds. Anthony Henry out there defending for the Dallas Cowboys, and it brings up 4th and goal.
Well, that's hard from the 2-yard line to get the ball up quick enough so that the receiver has enough time to get his feet down in bounds. And as we know, they no longer have the force out. Jim Zorn not happy with the execution of that play. They hesitated in running out the field goal team. It looked like there for a minute that Jim Zorn may elect to go for it on 4th down, but this is the right decision.
I would agree with you. Take the points when you have a chance. Go up 10. A minute 56 left. Dallas, when they get it back, will have all 3 of their timeouts remaining. We look ahead to next season. Cowboys have called both the Cotton Bowl and Texas Stadium home since 1960. And now next year, you saw the artist rendering and now the actual pictures of how far along they are. As in their 50th year of operation, the Cowboys will move into this state-of-the-art facility in Arlington. 3 million square foot stadium, capacity of up to 100,000 people when they host the Super Bowl 2 seasons from now.
Well, I had a chance to go out and look at the stadium back in May, and it's unlike anything I've seen. I think that for those that are fortunate enough to get an opportunity to go visit that stadium, it's going to be unlike anything they've seen as well. They've put a lot of time and effort in planning it, and it's going to be something awfully special.
A familiar shot of Jerry Jones in his owner's suite. He's done a tremendous job as general manager, in my opinion, with some of the players that he's brought in here. Some reclamation projects, some through the draft. And all in all, while he's had a very solid foundation with Tony Romo now, and certainly Marion Barber and Jason Witten, there have been other pieces brought in, like Hamlin and Zach Thomas and Leonard Davis. Certainly Terrell Owens and Pac-Man Jones. I mean, it's a long list of players that he's brought in, and they are difference makers for this 3-0 team. Here's Orlando Scandrick on the return, one of their draft picks. What a good play by Kareem Moore. Just a 16-yard return, and all phases of the game are working for the Redskins. Let's go to Kurt for a game break.
Well, here's the story in the American League. The Minnesota Twins beat Kansas City today. They finished the regular season with a half-game lead over the White Sox in the AL Central because Chicago won as well. So what this means is that the White Sox will host Detroit in a makeup game tomorrow. If Chicago wins that, they will host Minnesota, with the winner on Tuesday being crowned AL Central champions. So the season not over yet in Major League Baseball, Joe.
Nope, regular season will continue. So they play on tomorrow and potentially Tuesday prior to getting to the first round of the divisional series. Here's Romo now in the shotgun, down by 10. 3 timeouts and a minute 47 left in the half. Romo rolls right, throws out of the reach of Witten. And this has been outstanding coverage by the secondary of the Washington Redskins.
Well, it has, and it's been a couple of things, really, when you look at what's happened here in the first half. One, the offense for Washington has done a great job of moving the football, and then two, the defense has been terrific in forcing some 3-and-outs and getting off the field, and because of that, Washington has controlled the clock for almost 18 minutes now here in this first half, and if the offense for Dallas isn't on the field, awfully hard then for them to score points.
On 2nd and 10, Romo throws and he hits Terrell Owens, but nowhere to go. He only picks up 4. Coming up on the Visa halftime report, Kurt, Terry, Howie, Michael, and Jimmy, scores and highlights from around the league, and again some interesting scores scrolling across. It's 3rd and 7. Romo will try and run for the first down, and he slides with enough. First down Dallas with the clock continuing to run.
And sometimes you get into these 2-minute situations, the first down is really the most difficult to get. I think Dallas is very dangerous when they go into the no huddle. They can really put a pressure on a defensive unit.
Romo flushed out of the pocket again. And finally throws to Creighton. A juggle. He's into Washington territory. And now Dallas will spend its first timeout. Patrick Creighton good for 26 yards as Tony Romo spent about 30 minutes trying to find somewhere to go with the football.
Well, I think that, Tony Romo is good for a lot of reasons, but he's exceptional in the pocket in making people miss and then still being able to find receivers, and that's not always easy to do. One, it's not easy just to avoid the defenders, but then to be able to do that and still know where your guys are going to be. Good play on his part.
This would be a big score for the Dallas Cowboys, who have to be shocked that they are in this battle with the Washington Redskins. 17-7, the Redskins on top, and it's first down for Dallas at the Washington 47. If you are wondering whether Tony Romo went across the line of scrimmage when he let it go, he was behind it.
Yeah, and the rule is your entire body has to be beyond the line of scrimmage.
First down Dallas, down by 10. Pressure from the Redskins, and the pass is caught on a diving grab by Creighton. They keep the clock running. And we're coming up to 30 seconds left in the half.
Yeah, Dallas would have been better off had they not have caught that one.
High snap. Romo underneath, hits Barber. He's got a Dallas first down, and now Romo spends the second timeout. Kareem Moore on the tackle of Barber. We talked to Romo last year about the 2-minute drill, and he said that when he was a backup here, certainly under Bill Parcells, one of the things he studied, and in particular Tom Brady, who's been getting a lot of credit for inadvertently tutoring Tony Romo as to how to play the position. He watched different teams, and then Brady was the one that stood out to him the most of when guys use timeouts, when they let the clock run, and how they try and manage getting their team down the field.
Yeah, when you think about it, so many games come down to the end of the first half, and obviously especially at the end of the second half, and yet not a lot of teams spend a lot of time going over it, and more importantly, not a lot of quarterbacks spend time going over clock management, and yet it's such a important part if your team's going to go on and have some level of success. And so the fact that Tony has taken upon himself to work through some of those situations, that's why he's been as effective as he's been over the last couple of years.
Now Washington defensively takes a timeout. It would be a 54-yard field goal from here. Career long for Nick Folk is 53 yards, but that would seem to be within his range. But knowing Tony Romo and this Dallas offense and Jason Garrett, they have bigger ideas than just a field goal. 19 seconds, and they are 36 yards away from the end zone.
Well, Washington, regardless of what happens, on this possession, they've got to feel pretty good about what they've done, up to this point. Clearly they'd like to hold them and not give up any points. I think that right now, based on where they're at, it'd be a win if they could only give up 3, but they go into this locker room, I've got to believe, feeling really, really good. And not that they ever questioned whether or not they could be in this ball game, because I know Jim Zorn said, hey, if we don't turn the ball over, we'll have a chance to win in the fourth quarter, and they have shown that.
Greg Blosch, the defensive coordinator, telling us yesterday that he doesn't know if Dallas realizes how good they are on offense. His players on the field are finding out and doing a tremendous job. First down, Dallas. Pass is complete to Creighton, and now they say out of bounds. He tried to hop out, but he hopped out before he secured the catch.
What the Washington Redskins are doing basically is just saying that they don't want to give up a touchdown. All these secondary players, the safety in particular, they're 30 yards deep, and so there's a lot of air, there in the middle of the field. Tony working the sideline so he can get the ball out of bounds and stop the clock, but it appears to me that Washington will say, hey, we'll give you a 20-yard completion, we'll give you 3 points, we're just not going to give up 7.
Now only 14 seconds remain. Dallas with 1 timeout. Romo throws. Creighton makes the catch this time as he hops out at the 27. And so now maybe one more play as Romo has kept that timeout in his back pocket. And if nothing else, try and make it a little easier on Nick Folk, who was a Pro Bowler last year as a rookie.
Well, I think the 1 timeout is huge for Dallas because of the way that Washington is playing defensively. They've got the safeties deep, 2 deep safeties, and then the weakness of that defense is down the middle. Now Romo can afford to take a shot down the middle. If they don't make it, then he can still call the timeout and they can attempt the field goal.
Meanwhile, it's 3rd down and 1. Protection for Romo, and that one to Creighton, his 4th catch on this drive, and it just makes the field goal try that much easier for Folk, who will attempt to make this a 7-point game. 36-yard try coming here for Nick Folk, who so far is perfect on the season, 4 for 4. Good snap, good hold, and he is a good kicker. 36 yards to make it 17-10, and that's the end of the first half here at Texas Stadium. Redskins had come in having won 4 of the last 6 meetings against Dallas after losing 14 of the previous 15. They lead here by 7 at the half. Visa halftime coming up after this from your local Fox station. good first half, wasn't it? 17-10. Washington on the road trying to up their record to 3-1 and give Terrell Owens and the Dallas Cowboys not just their first defeat this September, but their first defeat in their last 2 Septembers. Jim Zorn has obviously done a very good job in molding this team here early after that Week 1 loss on a Thursday night against the Giants. Here is a return, busting into the open field and carrying it back is Anthony Spencer. How about that? That didn't work. They tried a little pop-up kick, and look what happened. 20-yard return by Spencer. Let's go down to Pam Oliver.
Well, Joe, Jim Zorn with a whole host of compliments for his team's play in the first half. He said, first of all, we played with a lot of composure. He also said Jason Campbell did a great job just standing in there under some difficult circumstances. As for the Cowboys, Wade Phillips said that if they could score on this opening drive, that he feels they'll be okay. No need for some big emotional speech at halftime. He said these guys have to fire up themselves. Back to you.
All right, Pam, thank you. At the end of that play, the Redskins are trying to bring the officials over and say that Anthony Spencer called for a fair catch on the kickoff, which you can do.
Yeah, you just can't advance it.
You cannot advance it. You can call for a fair catch unless, let's say, on an onside kick, it's bounced into the ground first. But let's see. Right up front here is Anthony Spencer.
The kickoff return is not a reviewable play. There is no challenge by Washington.
So Jim Zorn is told that it's not challengeable, and I think looking at that replay, I just think he lifted his arm. I don't think he was calling for a fair catch. I don't think that would even cross his mind.
Yeah, I want to get back to the kick, though. I don't understand that. Never have understood it. Never have understood the squib kick. I mean, I understand that they got Felix Jones, who's a playmaker and all that, but you're giving the ball to him at 42. You're better off just kicking it out of bounds.
Romo throws, and there's Terrell Owens down to the 39. Quick strike, 18 yards. Owens throwing on a long first half with Sean Springs right in his hip pocket.
Yeah, and this time they motion him, try to keep Sean Springs from really being able to get a good jam on him, and then Springs turns him loose. And when he turned him loose, no one underneath, no linebacker, then picked him up.
First down Dallas at the 39. Hand off to Marion Barber. London Fletcher on the tackle, a gain of 3. Well, last week at Green Bay, Terrell Owens caught only 2 passes for 17 yards, but everybody was talking about his hustle on the interception, a 20-yard difference, and he went all the way downfield and made that play, and then tried to get out in front of Felix Jones to help on that 60-yard touchdown run, and he at least got in the way.
Yeah, and I agree. I mean, it was a great effort, but, I mean, isn't that what you're paid to do? I mean, so much has been made of this effort, and I think it's the NFL. I mean, it's a paid profession. That's what guys are supposed to do.
Second down and 7, and the pass complete to Terrell Owens, who has a first down again. But I think for the most part, and I know you would agree with some of this, that in this day and age of the look-at-me attitude of wide receivers, whether it's Terrell Owens or Ocho Cinco or whoever else you want to say, somebody busting it when they're not getting the ball. You think about Randy Moss saying, I take plays off. It stands out in this day and age, no matter what his paycheck says, that he gets downfield and makes things happen.
I think it stands out for him because of, as you said, his past, and he's been a great teammate while he's been here in Dallas.
Handoff is to Marion Barber. Big run down near the 10. Rodgers forced him out after a 15-yard run.
They get this offense cranked up and they get the weapons involved, and we've seen them get Terrell Owens going, and Marion Barber's already had a couple nice runs. He breaks a tackle, one of the best in the National Football League in doing that. And I go back to the kick. I just think that kick and the field position immediately gave this offensive unit some life. I mean, not that they didn't lack a little bit already based on what they had done to end the first half, but this stadium has come alive, and I don't know that had to happen if you just kick the ball off normally.
On top of that, the Cowboys haven't done anything returning kicks so far. Here's Terrell Owens fighting his way for the touchdown. Well, you're right, Troy, when you say they got him involved. 3 catches on that drive, and for Terrell Owens, his 4th touchdown of the year.
Deshaun Springs, he's outside technique. I don't know if he thought he was going to get some help from LaRon Landry, but Landry hesitated to come down in front of that throw, and an easy completion and touchdown.
And in a blink. 2.5 minutes off the clock. It's a tie game. And head coach Jim Zorn is just there with that look on his face, hands on his hips as Terrell Owens fought his way for the score. Tied in Dallas. Terrell Owens gets his 4th touchdown of the season, and now the Redskins will have it for the first time in this second half as Rock Cartwright carries it back. Broke free for a moment and is all the way out to the 35-yard line. Good return by Rock Cartwright. And let's go back to what you talked about moments ago. Why pop it up if you're the Redskins? The longest return by the Cowboys to this point has been 22 yards.
I think that's a question that's going to be asked. You know, it makes no sense to me, and most of the time when I see it, it makes no sense. And you give a good offensive team the ball on the 42-yard line. I mean, this Cowboy team, I don't know what the percentages would be, but I can guarantee you more times than not they're going to score touchdowns, as we saw, and that's a mistake in my opinion. That's a coaching error.
Starting at their own 35 in this tie game, this Washington offense, which was so impressive in the first half. Pressure, a screen for Portis. Not much room to maneuver as Terrence Newman made a play. A gain of only 4.
Brady James with the tackle.
Brady James eventually got credit for the tackle, but Terrence Newman is the one who stuck his nose in there and got that play blown up. There's Brian Stewart, the defensive coordinator for Wade Phillips. His unit tied for 9th in the NFL coming in. Trying to slow down Jason Campbell. 2nd down and 6. Delayed handoff. It's Clinton Portis. Wrapped up by Zach Thomas. I know you spent some time with Zach Thomas during the week and came away awfully impressed.
Yeah, I sure did. I mean, you talk about a guy who's just a consummate professional in his 13th season. Great pickup by the Dallas Cowboys. And, you know, I thought that maybe the main reason why he came to Dallas as opposed to New England and some of the other teams was because it was in the state of Texas, which is where he's from. He went to Texas Tech, but he just wanted to play for an established team that would give him an opportunity to try to win a Super Bowl.
3rd down and 2. They toss to Portis. He has a 1st down and plenty more. Clinton Portis cuts back. Hamlin knocks him down. And Portis is to the Dallas 26. A 31-yard run.
Yeah, I like the action there in the backfield, which threw everybody off. And when it first happened, you're going to see the motion, and because of that, you pulled defenders there to the right side, the offensive right, which then created the lane for Clinton Portis.
Chris Cooley doesn't just catch passes and run well after the catch. He was out on DeMarcus Ware and threw a big block on that 31-yard run. 1st down at the Dallas 26. Liddell Betts gets it now as the Redskins are trying to establish their ground game. He picks up 3.
And, you know, Liddell Betts hadn't been given a lot of opportunities in the first few weeks of the season to run the football, but when he got his opportunities, he had been very effective. Today, he has not been as effective running the football as what Clinton Portis has been.
Yeah, I think for people just tuning in, maybe seeing the Redskins for the first time, realize that Jim Zorn was initially talked about as the offensive coordinator, eventually was elevated to head coach. Sherman Smith is tabbed as the coordinator. Jim Zorn is calling the plays. He dials this one up, and it's Moss setting up another 1st and goal. Santana Moss with another big day against the Dallas Cowboys.
Well, and I tell you, Moss has been working mostly against Terrence Newman, and over 100 yards receiving there in the first half. Good job by Campbell. He wanted to throw the double move on the outside to his right. It wasn't there. He comes off of it right back to Santana Moss, and that's when you start really seeing the development of a young quarterback, when he's able to get back to those guys and knows where he is and is not forcing the ball. And we've seen a lot of that from Jason Campbell, but this guy right here, Santana Moss, I'd be going after him every single time if I was quarterbacking this team.
On first and goal, penalty flag comes in as Portis gets in, but a flag is down right at the line of scrimmage.
Holding, number 61. Offense. 10-yard penalty. The first down.
It's the center, Casey Robach, who is guilty of the hold, and now he pleads his case with the umpire.
Well, it's bad enough when you get a hold at any time, but when you have a holding penalty against you on a scoring play, that's a tough one. Casey Robach, he's right in front of Campbell. He's the center. And the left arm, see if you can take a look at it. I can't see it, but you know the umpire is right there, and that's exactly what he's looking for. My guess is that he was holding.
He takes the ball all the way back to the 16-yard line, where it's first and goal.
Right now, the Redskins trying to get the play clock back up to 25 seconds. It's at 16.
Please put 8:39 on the game clock, please. 8:39 on the game clock.
They also reset the play clock, so that's at 25, and this is the fourth straight drive for the Redskins where they've had first and goal. This time, however, after the hold by Robach, it's back at the 16-yard line. Campbell looking right, comes back from Moss, and the pass incomplete. Brady James, the closest Cowboy to it.
You know, Joe, when we were talking with Jim Zorn, you know, I know people out there, maybe not everyone remembers that Jim Zorn was hired to be the offensive coordinator and then ultimately got the head coaching job. And, you know, I think for a first-time head coach, most would then relinquish the responsibilities of being the play caller. And he said that was never a consideration, that he had been chomping at the bit to be the play caller, and he feels that that really is one of his expertise.
He's done a good job. Handoff is instead Campbell keeping it. He tried to get it to Liddell Betts, and I don't think those two could come together close enough, so wisely Campbell just kept it.
Well, that was smart on his part, no doubt about that, because it was designed to go to Liddell Betts, but he gets so tied up there on the play action fake that he's not able to actually get it. Well, you know, I thought he pulled it in, but the ball was loose. He did a good job of just actually catching the muffed ball. And last year, Jason Campbell led the National Football League in fumbles, and he hasn't had one yet, but he sure came close on that play.
Third down and goal. Pressure from Newman. Campbell does not go down. Throws to Antoine Randall L., who scampers for the touchdown. What a play. Terrence Newman almost came away with a sack. And now there's a penalty flag down the end of the play.
And we'll find out what the call is, but Campbell, unbelievable, being able to get away from the sack.
Player number 61, offense. Downfield, 5-yard penalty, third down.
So that's twice now that Casey Robach commits a foul that eliminates a touchdown. The first one by Portis, and this one by Antoine Randall L.
The only thing I can figure is once he saw Jason Campbell, you know, break the pocket, that he then thought that he was going to scramble and run with the football instead of throw it. We keep an eye on Campbell. We lose him there, but he got downfield, and now he brought back another touchdown.
So third and goal from the 15. And this one is out of the back of the end zone as Campbell ends up on his back. Ratliff was in there, as was Greg Ellis, and it's 4th down. Rough series for Casey Robach.
Yeah, and it wouldn't surprise me. Jim Zorn may have a few words for him. I mean, that was obviously pretty upsetting. Joe Bugle, the offensive line coach, over there talking to him, and then Jim Zorn, talking through things with Jason Campbell. But really a missed opportunity there because they had 2 scores and just 2 mistakes by the center that kept them from happening.
So a 33-yard try by Sweezum to regain the lead. And this one is good. Barely. 4 straight scoring drives for the Washington Redskins. They thought they had 7. They come away with 3 and lead it 2017. There's a scoring drive. Jason Campbell showed a number of times how athletic he is and all the things he can do. Not going down on what could have been a sack by Newman. 2 touchdowns called back on 2 penalties on the center, Casey Robach. Now Sweezum kicks it deep, and it's a touchback. TO time, huh? Second half. He had a good first drive, including a touchdown. Let's go back to that penalty that wiped away the touchdown.
You can see he can only go 1 yard. Anything past that is illegal man downfield, and clearly, Casey Robach, he just lost sight of where he was on the field.
That was the second of 2 penalties that brought the ball out of the end zone, and the Redskins have to settle for 3 points and a 3-point lead. Here is Terrell Owens. That's now 4 catches in a drive plus after having just 2 catches the entire first half for 11 yards.
And you just start to think when you watch Terrell Owens running some of these routes and working against Sean Springs that Terrell now, sometimes it takes a little bit of time to really figure out, okay, how am I going to beat this guy? But what we've seen here in this second half, that he's gaining some confidence as to how Sean Springs is playing him, the leverage that he has, and what I need to do in order to beat that.
Second down and 1. Romo throws and out of the reach of Creighton, who had Rodgers on his back.
And here's a look at some of the things that were happening early in the ball game. You got Sean Springs trying to play physical with him. He's inside technique, forcing Terrell Owens to the boundaries. And then in the second half, you're going to see most of the catches that he had were inside. And that one was motion away. And he could then run away from the man coverage as that was there. And then on the last catch that he had, he also was able to get inside leverage on Sean Springs. So everything was getting funneled to the outside early. Now he's making the receptions in the middle of the field.
Now it's 3rd down and 1. A toss to Terrell Owens as he picks up a first down. An awkward way that he went to the ground on the tackle, a gain of 5. And at the end of that last possession, Terrell Owens scored his 32nd touchdown in 35 games with the Dallas Cowboys.
It looked a little bit like what we saw the Washington Redskins do with Santana Moss when they came back with Clinton Portis. However, the Cowboys, they go ahead and feed the ball to Terrell Owens. Normally he attracts a lot more attention than what he did on that one.
First down Dallas, down by 3. Romo throws, and Patrick Creighton could not get to it. No flags on the play. Let's go to Kurt for a game break.
Well, the St. Louis Rams led most of this game looking for their first victory of the season, but then Trent Green, the new starter, finds Jabari Greer, and unfortunately for him, Greer plays for Buffalo. He takes it 33 yards back for the score, and the Bills are now in front 20-14 in the 4th quarter. Back to Dallas, and Joe, Troy, and Pam.
All right, thank you, Kurt. And obviously a lot more than just the Bills trying to stay undefeated and the Rams looking for their first win. Scott Linehan could very well be out as head coach of the Rams. Certainly if the Rams blow a lead and end up starting 0-4. They have a bye week next week. Romo throws and completes. What a pass. And a good catch by Witten for a first down. And There's a penalty flag now down on the far side of the field. Back at the 44-yard line in the area where the ball was caught. We will check the foul.
Holding, number 27, defense. Penalty is declined. First down.
How about that throw by Tony Romo?
Yeah, and it was good coverage by Reed Dowdy, the safety for Washington, and you can only put this one place. I mean, that's a great angle right there for our viewers to know exactly what Tony Romo saw. And Dowdy had his arm in there. I mean, it was great coverage and just great concentration on Jason Witten's part. But, you know, I've said many times, I've always felt that a great throw beats great coverage, and that was a good example of it.
So first down for Dallas. Quick setup and throw, and it floated on Romo and out of the reach of Terrell Owens. Next Sunday, NFL on Fox, we will be in Philadelphia for these Redskins against the Eagles. Another big NFC Eastern Division matchup for Washington on the road after this weekend in Dallas. Also Seattle and the Giants. Chicago at Atlanta, Green Bay, and late game is Tampa Bay at Denver, and Denver was shocked as that defense and all those issues they have defensively for the Broncos give up 33 points to the Kansas City Chiefs in a loss. This one is behind Curtis, who had it, lost it, and it's fumbled out of bounds. It'll stay with Dallas as London Fletcher delivered the hit that knocked it out.
London Fletcher, not the biggest guy, but he reads this right away. He's barreling down on it, and a big hit. And yeah, when it happened live, I thought that might in fact be a fumble, and that's exactly what the ruling was. And so they lose yardage on this play.
4 yards they lose, and it brings up third down and 14. Sean Springs is not on the field. They're working on his calf, and Carlos Rogers is lined up across from Terrell Owens. See if Romo looks that way. Deep for Owens, out of his reach, fourth down. So they went right after Carlos Rogers with help from Landry, and the pass too far.
Yeah, and a couple plays ago I saw that they had Carlos Rogers on Terrell Owens, and that Sean Springs wasn't in the game, and I thought they'd go to this maybe even a little bit sooner than what they did. They're going to get some help. LaRon Landry working that way, which is what they have shown throughout much of this game. But that was a good defensive stand there by the Washington defense after Dallas had scored on their last 2 possessions to come up big. It was good for them.
Here's a booming punt by McBriar that's so good it goes into the end zone. Washington Redskins on the warpath and trying to get a win on the road here in Dallas. They have the ball and a 3-point lead. Washington Redskins have won only once in their last 12 games here. The reason why they won that game was almost single-handedly the play of Santana Moss back in 2005. Moss has had another huge game here today. 7 catches, 142 yards, and that's him in motion. Starting at their 20, they throw it to Santana Moss, who tries to go inside, and he is wrestled to the ground by Brady James. Gain of only 3.
You know, Santana Moss this week, he talked about that game when they last won here, and that, you know, there was always all this potential for him, and he was seen in a certain way, and they were always wondering when he was going to break out and become this big play receiver. And he said that game, you know, really was his coming out party, and ever since then he's been seen as a different kind of receiver.
Clinton Portis over the left side, just stays on his feet. What a good hard run as he ran through Zach Thomas. 12 yards, a first down. Here's a game break. Here's Kurt.
Well, the Raiders have officially blown a 15-0 lead. The Chargers have scored back-to-back touchdowns off of Jamarcus Russell's turnovers. This 13-yarder from LT makes it an 18-15 Charger advantage. Joe?
Guess the toe is better for LaDainian Tomlinson.
Tell you what, though, when he's not in there, Darren Sproles. I mean, normally an 80% LaDainian Tomlinson is still really, really good, but not as good as what Darren Sproles has shown.
Greg Ellis is injured, down on a knee. He's been battling injuries the last couple of years. Had a huge season last year. His first Pro Bowl, off to a good start. Limps off. We'll take a break. First down, Washington, when we come back. Still working on Greg Ellis on the sideline. See if he can come back here relatively quickly. First down, Washington up by 3. Under 4 to play in this third quarter. Clinton Portis is brought down the backfield by Ratliff. A loss of 3.
Well, we came into the game talking about Jay Ratliff and the job that he has done for this defensive unit. He's in the middle. And he's just able to split the two. He split Casey Robach and then Randy Thomas, the right guard, who's trying to get out in front. And when you got a stretch play like that, like they had with Clinton Portis, if you don't block that interior pressure, it's hard then to be able to make the cutback, and Clinton Portis couldn't get it.
See what Jim Zorn has in store for this Dallas defense on 2nd and 13. Trying to set up a screen, and there's nothing there. Pressure by Spencer as Liddell Betts could not get the football. Let's go to Pam Oliver.
No, there's just a flurry of activity by the Redskins trainers as they work on members of the defense now. Sean Springs had a cramp in his calf. Lee Torrance, his backup at left corner, got some work on his calf as well. I saw Rocky McIntosh at one point getting stretched out. The heat and humidity taking its toll on these players.
All right, Pam, thank you. There they are working on Sean Springs.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking about it up here, Joe, how humid it is, and I think I got a calf cramp myself. But it is a humid day here in Dallas, Texas, and it's affecting the Washington Redskins right now.
Third down and 13. Time for Campbell. Time runs out, and he overshoots Cooley. Pressure by Jason Hatcher.
DeMarcus Ware, they got the chip again. As you see, DeMarcus Ware said he's had about enough of that, and they don't like it. They don't like when they're engaged with an offensive tackle, and then you got a running back who's scoring down on them as well.
Brooks hits another good punt. Adam Jones backpedaling as he takes it in, and he gets a face mask that almost rips his helmet off. They didn't see it.
I'm not sure what you're looking at as an official not to see that.
And now,
and he better be careful.
Pac-Man is close to getting a penalty called against him. I mean, that was about as blatant a face mask as you're going to see.
I mean, we saw it from here. You got to believe that the official who's 5 yards from this can see that.
That's Yoder, who got his left hand up and almost took his helmet off. It's been a rough couple weeks for the officials.
Boy, I'll say.
So the ball is at the 19-yard line, and then Pac-Man Jones was stunned to get up and not see a flag, and now he is hot. While the Dallas offense goes to work down 3.
You know, they don't find players, though, for disparaging remarks about the officials.
Here is Romo avoiding the rush and somehow slings it to Witten, who gets around Washington and then survives a hit from McIntosh. A gain of 8.
I tell you, I'm watching Marcus Washington, and like I said a little bit earlier, I think the guy's really a great teammate. He's got great work habits, great character. But boy, it looks like he has really lost a step. He's not running very well, and to try to put him in any type of situation where he's going to be covering Jason Witten, it's just not something that favors Washington very well.
So it's 2nd down and 2. Meanwhile, Romo did a good job of avoiding a sack and somehow getting it into the hands of Witten. The play clock is about to expire. Down to 3, 2, 1, and a timeout before a 2nd and 2. So a first timeout taken by the Dallas Cowboys. And they'll have to talk about this 2nd down and 2 with 1:50 left in the third quarter, and there is Jason Garrett. But I would say so far, Troy, from what we've seen in this game, you look at the way these two teams have played, the Washington Redskins have outplayed the Dallas Cowboys to this point.
Well, I think Dallas has played pretty well too, but I would say yes, that Washington has played exceptionally well, and they've answered when they've had to, and I think that's been the most encouraging thing, for the Washington Redskins, and they've played really good defense. I think that timeout right there was needless, and it's going to come back to haunt them in the game that we're currently looking at once we move into that fourth quarter.
You'd rather take the penalty?
No. They should never have gotten to that situation.
Oh, I got you.
The play should have gotten in earlier.
Here is Barber. He gets it on a handoff, and they've done a good job, the Redskins have, of controlling the running game for the most part of Marion Barber. McIntosh in on the stop. He goes back to the line of scrimmage. That's it. Now it's 3rd down and 2.
Yeah, they have done a great job, and that's not easy to do. And you have to gang tackle when you're trying to bring down a guy like Marion Barber. And throughout the day, they've done that. And it's easy to say, hey, let's shut him down, and starts with stopping the running game. But Washington, I've been pleased. I tell you, I don't know what's going to happen, but this is another game here in Week 4 where I'd say that the Washington Redskins have taken another step forward.
Yeah, they've taken a step every week after that season-opening loss at the Giants. 3rd down and 2. Romo throws, and Creighton is open. Smoot loses his helmet on the tackle, and he lost Patrick Creighton in coverage. And now Fred Smoot is slow to get up.
See, I don't think they can really afford to lose Fred Smoot in spite of all the injuries that they're incurring right now with the cramps, but a good move by Patrick Creighton. Patrick Creighton, when they had Terry Glenn as the other receiver, he was primarily a slot receiver, and that's the type of routes that he's really good at. Work in the middle, the stop and stutter, and he's got really good quickness, and we saw it on that play. He got Fred Smoot working over the top. He came out of it, easy 1st down.
So now let's check the lineup. As Smoot's going to have to come out. They stopped the clock. He's going to have to sit out at least one play. Lee Torrance is back in the game. I do not see Sean Springs out there. Reed Dowdy is on the sideline for the moment, but he'll check back in. They do have a 3-safety package, the Redskins do, that they call their Cobra set, but their Springs are getting thin out on the outside.
Well, I would tell you that Jason Garrett is very good at knowing exactly who's on the field defensively. And my guess is that while he sees that you've got Fred Smoot, who's injured and going to have to come off the field, and then Sean Springs, who's already on the sidelines, I would expect them to do something to try to take advantage of that on this next play and take a shot.
They just came away with that 1st down, an important one to Patrick Creighton as they trail by 3. And Springs doesn't look all that great over on the sideline. He really had a good first half against Terrell Owens. Terrell Owens went to work first possession of this second half. Ended up with the touchdown, and now Springs is on the sideline. 40 seconds left in this third quarter, and Smoot is still on the field. October 9th, the two best teams in the National League will put it all on the line as they go head-to-head in the National League Championship Series. It begins October 9th, a week from Thursday, Game 1 in high def only on Fox. And we have the NLCS through the World Series, and it will either be the Dodgers or the Cubs against either the Brewers or the Phillies. Those are the matchups, and after losing his helmet, Fred Smoot is dazed as he comes back to the sideline.
Well, we talked about it when I think we were in Cleveland a few weeks back, Joe. I'm just amazed at the helmets from week to week that you see flying off of a guy's head. I never wore a helmet that was that loose.
You see 2 a game, it seems like. And that one, Smoot lost it on the tackle, and you know how cautious they are now in the league with head injuries, so Smoot is gone. That's Witten in the backfield that Troy circled. It's 1st down, and it's an interception by the rookie Horton. Stepped in front of Miles Austin, and for Chris Horton, that's his 3rd pick, and none bigger than that one.
Chris Horton's become a real playmaker, and Tony Romo just never saw him. I mean, it looked like he had a clean lane and a clean throw right out to the outside here, and you're going to see him. He's underneath, and he's just going to come running all the way out. He gets underneath it, and they're doubling. they're doubling Austin Miles, which I shouldn't say they're necessarily doubling him as much as Chris Horton's responsibility was to cover the flat. But that gives you an idea. When I said earlier in the game, this guy gives you great range, I mean, that's awfully impressive for a guy where he lined up to get all the way underneath that comeback throw.
Already a defensive player of the week in week 2 in the win over New Orleans with his 2 interceptions. Now he has his 3rd. Again, the 249th selection in this past draft out of UCLA. Here is Clinton Portis. He is knocking on the door of a 100-yard day as he picks up 6. And we are finished with the first 3 quarters here in Dallas. What a game. An upset in the making at the moment. Washington up 3. Back after this from your local Fox station. Well, a lot's happened here. First of all, DeMarcus Ware on that last play took a pretty vicious hit. They look at him on the sideline. Meanwhile, the Washington Redskins are now +6 in the turnover ratio, which is the best in the NFL after that interception by Chris Horton. Here is Portis. He gets back to the line of scrimmage, and here is the play that sent DeMarcus Ware off the field.
Yeah, Chris Cooley is the one blocking him there, and he goes in to make the play. And initially it looked like he might have had a stinger or something there with his right shoulder, but as we saw the trainers, giving him the test, it seems that that's more, whether it's concussion related or, got his bell rung or something along those lines.
He's back in the game on an important 3rd down, 3rd and 3. The Redskins are not in field goal range at the moment. Campbell throws, Cooley with the catch, and he hops out of bounds with a Washington first down.
And you got to laugh about it. I mean, he just kind of threw this one off balance, and they got 2 guys right there in the area. And, Brian Stewart, as Pam reported earlier in the game, saying that, well, Jason Campbell isn't getting to his 2nd, 3rd, 4th reads in the progression. He certainly has here in the second half, and he did on that last play, and that's why they picked up the first down. And this is a big possession right now for both teams. If the Washington Redskins are able to get a touchdown, all of a sudden you make it a 2-possession game in the 4th quarter.
Everybody is slipping on that field, whether it's the humidity. Liddell Betts goes down. We've seen that since the start of this game. You saw it on that last completion to Cooley, even with guys slipping and sliding. You saw those numbers, Troy. This is a Washington team. If you're Jim Zorn, you have to be pleased that statistically they have dominated the 4th quarter in their last 2 wins, and here they are in the final period now.
Yeah, dominated it because offensively they've scored points and they've finished games, and then more importantly defensively they've not given up any 4th quarter points all season long.
2nd down and 7. Redskins are in field goal range now. They have loftier hopes as Campbell again goes through the progressions and finds Chris Cooley for another Washington first down.
I am really impressed, Joe, with the poise that Jason Campbell is showing. And he wanted to take a double move shot up the sideline to Santana Moss. Anthony Henry was in great coverage, and rather than force one, he comes right back underneath and keeps the chains in a positive situation and gets the first down. And that's really what you want from your quarterback. If you can call the shots and know that he's not going to take them if they're not there and still get completions, that's what you want from your quarterback.
He has a 112 quarterback rating in this game. He still hasn't turned the ball over as Liddell Betts takes it to the 15-yard line. And up front, offensive line, defensive line, the Washington Redskins are winning the battles against this Dallas team.
Yep, and I'll go back to Jason Campbell. It's pretty obvious to me in a really short period of time, him and Jim Zorn have developed quite a rapport and quite a chemistry, and that's important, and Jason Garrett and Tony Romo have that, and I had that when I played, and when you have that with the guy who's calling plays, and the guy believes in you, it's amazing how much confidence then you go into a game with and how that elevates your own performance.
2nd down and 4. And the handoff is to Betts. I don't know how they didn't throw a flag on that.
Jansen looked like he moved a full second before the ball was snapped.
And Zach Thomas gets upset about that, but they did not throw a flag. And I don't know how they missed that.
I'm not sure. Maybe the trainers for the Cowboys ought to be putting these officials through the eye test.
I mean, that is clearly a false start. But no call, and it's 3rd and 4. Santana Moss. Across from Pac-Man Jones. That's where Campbell goes with it. Incomplete. It's 4th down. And the Dallas defense, if nothing else, keeps the Redskins out of the end zone, and a field goal attempt is coming.
Yeah, he had him too. Jason Campbell had him. It was a hot ball. I mean, that thing was coming in, and it got high on him. And if it had been lower, he still should have caught the ball. But if it had been lower, it's a much easier catch, especially when a guy knows he's about to get hit, and they pick up the 1st down.
33-yard try coming here from Sweezum to make it a 6-point game. It was with Dallas back in 05 and 06. Sean Sweezum hits it. And it's 23-17 Washington as they add to their lead, looking for an upset on the road in the tough NFC East. Six-point game in Dallas. The Redskins in the red zone in this game after coming in with 6 touchdowns and 10 trips inside the 20 this season. Have 3 straight field goals after touchdowns on their first 2 drives. One thing Campbell hasn't done is turn it over. He keeps that streak alive. Redskins are winning the turnover battle here in this game. Felix Jones across the 20, and then he's crunched at the 23. Tony Romo will head back to work, coming off his interception. Teammates trying to pump him up as he hits the field. He's down 6. .36th and final time potentially, unless they meet in the playoffs. The Redskins and Cowboys would tangle here at Texas Stadium. Dallas has won 26 of the previous 35. They also lead heavy in the all-time series, but none of these players care about history right now. They're talking about and thinking about the present. Terrell Owens can't catch up to that pass, covered by Carlos Rogers at 2nd and 10, and here are some of the early game headliners. A win for the Carolina Panthers. Good day for the surgically repaired Jake Delhomme. Vernius Coles, 3 of the 6 touchdowns thrown by Brett Favre, and Lance Moore showed up in our game last week, Troy, out in Denver.
Boy, sure did, and they needed him to. When Marcus Colston down and Jeremy Shockey and a Saints team that desperately needed a win, that was a nice victory for them.
Romo on 2nd and 10 to the sideline, and Carlos Rogers steps in front and breaks it up before Terrell Owens can get his hands on it.
Great coverage, and the reason he's able to play underneath it the way that he is because, again, little Ron Landry is over the top, and so he's waiting for the break. Ball just a touch late. But I know on the previous play when Terrell Owens was running the crossing route, he was wanting to get the pass interference call, and that was good coverage by Carlos Rogers as well. I mean, a guy who missed a great deal of time last year with a knee injury, he has stepped in and doing a good job for Sean Springs, who had been doing this job on Terrell Owens earlier.
Now it's 3rd down and 10. Ball at the Dallas 23. Pocket collapses, and this one is incomplete. Carlos Rogers caught up to Terrell Owens as that ball was floated out there by Tony Romo.
Well, right now, Washington running a lot of man-to-man coverage, and that's why you start getting the drag routes offensively, but this was all because of the pressure up front. You see McIntosh off the blitz. They bring other pressure, London Fletcher. It's one of the few times today they brought blitzers, and Tony had to float that one. And I didn't think that was I thought that was a good no call.
Ray Sherman, the wide receivers coach, started to plead the case of Terrell Owens. Carlos Rogers got there. Cowboys thought a bit too early as McBriar hits a line drive. Horton almost got a hand on that punt right off the foot of McBriar. Antoine Randall, a 3-yard return. It's a 6-point Redskin lead. And they have the football with 10:16 left. Look at what the Washington defense has done to the running game of the Dallas Cowboys. 44 yards. With Marion Barber coming off a career-high 142 at Green Bay. A big reason why, as Portis gets it on the handoff, the Redskins have the football in a 6-point lead with 10 minutes left here in Dallas.
I thought it was interesting on that last possession for Dallas. They went to Terrell Owens 3 consecutive times. And Washington did a terrific job. Whether that third down play should have been pass interference, who knows? But having said that, the Cowboys wanted to get the ball to their best player, and the Redskins did a good job of denying him on that.
And now it's Carlos Rogers having to deal with Terrell Owens instead of Sean Springs. Here's 2nd and 7. Clinton Portis gets it. Clinton Portis has a first down up at the 48, and he is right in the neighborhood of another 100-yard day against the Dallas Cowboys. He's over 100 now with 102 yards.
I tell you, this guy is absolutely remarkable. There's very few players that I enjoy watching more than Clinton Portis run with the football. I mean, he is tough and he is physical, and it doesn't matter if he has the ball in his hands or if he's blocking or if he's running downfield to help somebody else. He's always playing and he's always looking to hit somebody.
First down, Washington. Portis gets it again. Won't go down easily and picks up 13 yards and another Washington first down. Clinton Portis, Troy, had the only 100-yard day against the Cowboys last year in Week 17, and he is well over 100 now here in Texas Stadium against the Dallas defense.
And what's pretty remarkable about Clinton Portis is, as physical as he is as a runner, I mean, the guy has only missed 12 games due to injury, and 8 of those were in 2006 because of a hand injury. So besides that one injury, he'd only missed 4 other games because of injury, and he takes a pounding every week.
Play action from Campbell. Hits Cooley along the boundary, forced out by Ellis. Cooley out of bounds at the 33. The standings in the NFC East. Dallas on top, 3-0. The Giants are off this week. They have Seattle next week. They will not have Plexico Burress at their disposal. He has been suspended for 2 weeks. The Washington Redskins trying to go to 3-1. In Philadelphia, they play tonight against the Bears.
I tell you, this possession right here is really a big possession, for Washington as well as Dallas. I mean, if you're talking about if they get points here, all of a sudden, this thing becomes a 2-possession ball game.
2nd down and 4, a toss to Betts. And Betts is brought down 2.5 yards shy of a first down by DeMarcus Ware. Under 7.5 minutes to play, and Washington trying to do to Dallas. They did to New Orleans, and then last week the Cardinals by dominating the final quarter.
It really is an impressive performance, and I think that even you look at Dallas defensively. I think Dallas defensively is certainly one of the best defenses in the National Football League, and yet Washington has been able to move the ball and have great success. And you look at the players that Dallas has, and you would think that they'd be playing better than what they have here today.
3rd down and 2, and Washington has to take their first timeout. 3rd down coming up when we come back. Here's the exchange between Jason Campbell and Jim Zorn. Troy, Jim Zorn in a short while is exhibiting a lot of the characteristics of a very good head coach.
Well, he talked about how much he likes the poise of Jason Campbell. I tell you, I like the poise of Jim Zorn.
He can get emotional. He can also be calming, as he was moments ago when Campbell had to take the timeout. They fake the throw. They hand to Clinton Portis, and Portis does not get anything. There's a penalty flag down in the secondary.
Boy, it is way down there, too.
It is.
12 men, defense, 5-yard penalty, first down.
So the 5-yard penalty gives Washington the first down as the Cowboys had 12 men on the field.
Yeah, now you can review whether or not there were 12 men on the field. Shocking development when you're talking about coming out of a timeout. We'll take a look. 1, 2. And then it's a matter of if there's one back here.
Yep. They do not review it. It is a first down. And it is Clinton Portis to the 25. There was one guy, Troy, that you couldn't number because of the way your telestrator is set up. And clearly there were 12 men on the field. And here's another maybe better look at it up the field at this Dallas defense. Just keep hitting the thing until we get to 12.
Hey, there they are right there. There's 12, buddy. Jeez, no wonder I didn't become an accountant.
2nd down and 9. You could be now. It's all about accounting in this country now.
I thought I got to 12 and I was only at 9.
2nd down and 9, and it's Liddell Betts, who's a yard and a half shy of a first down. Picks up 6.
But I mean, let's be serious. What a huge penalty. I mean, are you kidding me? They just come out of a timeout, and there are 12 men on the field. I mean, that is absolutely inexcusable, and especially when your defense just stopped them. And the 12th guy obviously didn't help them stop the guy on 3rd down, but now a big first down, and here's another big 3rd down, but regardless, if they still settle for a field goal, one, it's a shorter attempt, but they've taken a lot more time off the clock.
Yep. We're coming up on the 5-minute mark. It would have been roughly a 50, 51-yard try from where they were, but the 12 men on the field gives a first down. Handoff is to Liddell Betts, and Betts is brought down very close to the marker. It depends on the spot. This could be an enormous measurement if that's indeed what we're headed for here.
Well, based on that, and our viewers at home know that the yellow line is not official, that would indicate that it is a first down. And we're not off by that much. And so my guess is that that's going to come out as another first down. They'll run the ball, and they'll take as much time off the clock. Dallas, remember, they only have 2 timeouts. They had to burn the 1 timeout on 3rd down earlier in the 3rd quarter, which I said then could come back to hurt them. But they're going to be able to milk this thing down pretty good. And then it's just a matter of whether Jim Zorn wants to just be content with a 9-point lead and a field goal here, or if he wants to make it a 2-touchdown game that Dallas would then need to get back in it. Personally, I think I would be calling for the touchdown. I think it's too easy to go down and get a touchdown and then get an onside kick and then you're in position for a field goal. I'd like to see the Redskins do what they can to score a touchdown.
So far, the Dallas defense has been able to hold inside the red zone after the Redskins got touchdowns on their first 2 possessions that took it down inside the 20. 3 field goals their last 3 trips in. Liddell Betts is the tailback. He gets it over the left side, and there's nothing there. Marcus Spears came down to make the play. A loss of 1.
And I think that, you go back to last year, and the Cowboys defensively finished out pretty good, but the criticism was they never made the plays at the end of the games when they had to make them. They didn't make them in the playoffs. They didn't make them late in the year. Well, this drive here, you're talking about a 6-point game for Dallas, and this drive started on the 34-yard line of Washington, and they've driven the ball down here to get to this position. And these are the types of plays you have to make defensively if, in fact, you're going to be regarded as a good defensive team.
Play selection has been balanced. That's what Jim Zorn was looking for coming in, and he's been right there balancing this offensive attack as Zach Thomas makes the tackle on Clinton Portis, a gain of 5, and now a timeout is taken by the Dallas defense. 1 timeout left now for the Cowboys, and here's some of the emotion that Jim Zorn brings to the sideline for the Washington Redskins.
It's great to see. A guy who had a long career as a player in this league. He's been a long-time assistant coach. he's worked under some really good coaches, and the most recently being Mike Holmgren there in Seattle. And I think that those experiences have really prepared him for this position that he's now in. And at a time when so many teams are looking for that new young gun, for him to be 55 years old and be given the reins to this franchise it's nice to see. But more than that, it's nice to see Jim doing so well with it, because he's really done a nice job, and he's done a great job of calling plays here today, and the players have really responded to him.
He was in camp trying to make it as a backup to Roger Staubach in 1975, and then he went on to greatness with the Seattle Seahawks, threw for over 20,000 yards. Now his first chance at not just calling plays, but being a head coach and trying to win on the road here in Dallas as Portis gets it. And he's brought down after about a yard, and it will be 4th down with under 3.5 minutes to play, and Dallas will spend their final timeout.
Yeah, and after Washington got that last first down, Jim Zorn obviously just said, hey, we're going to run the ball, we're going to try to get it in as good a position as we can for the field goal, and we're going to take as much time off the clock, and we'll make it a 2-possession game, and then hopefully our defense can then make a stop.
Troy, this is a drive for Washington that started with 10 minutes and 16 seconds on the game clock. It's basically a 7-minute drive as they try to wind the clock as much as they can. And now if Sweezum can hit for the 4th time today, it makes it a 2-score game and a 9-point lead.
Well, it's a good job by Washington offensively. Really, now they got to make the field goal. But defensively, I'll reiterate the point. If you're going to be a championship team, and if you're going to be considered a championship defense, this possession should have stopped a long time ago.
29-yard try by Sweezum. High snap. The kick is drilled by Sean Sweezum, and it's a 9-point game, and Sweezum is 4 for 4. Coming up after this game, it's the OT. Kurt?
Thanks, Joe. Coming up on the OT right after your game, we'll recap a wild day in the NFL. Brett Favre actually did something he's never done before. We'll tell you what it was. Plus, an emotional day in Tampa Bay. Also, all the scores, highlights, news, and reactions from around the NFL on the OT when you're done.
All right, Kurt, well, there is plenty to talk about with what's going on around the NFL here in Week 4. That Matt Bryant situation is one that just breaks your heart. And then you think about what's going on the field in this game alone, with the Washington Redskins trying to score a huge upset, leading by 9. I think there's more to be written about the St. Louis Rams today, as they are on their way to a defeat at home against Buffalo. That could be the end of the road for Scott Linehan as head coach of the St. Louis Rams. Well, there's a lot to talk about, and there's a lot more action, Troy, in this game coming up.
Yeah, and the question I have is Sean Sweezum going to bloop the ball again, or is he going to kick deep?
I think he'll kick deep.
Okay.
One time they did bloop it. It didn't exactly work out as Anthony Spencer returned it 20 yards, and the Dallas Cowboys at the start of this second half went down the field and got it right into the end zone to tie the game. But it's been all Washington since. Conventional kickoff, and Felix Jones takes it from inside the 5. And Felix Jones gets to the 14-yard line, and that is all. And you think about what's going on here on the field, Troy, for this Washington Redskins team trying to win their 3rd in a row, and you have to go back to the early days with the Washington Redskins, back to 1971 and George Allen, to find a head coach that came in here to Dallas and won in the first crack of this rivalry. Jim Zorn got his team ready to go.
Well, he did, and when he was asked about the rivalry, he said, hey, I'm kind of new to this whole thing, and I guess it's like the Raiders and the Seahawks back when the Seahawks were in the AFC, and
that doesn't match up.
No, I mean, I think when you talk about the top, the great rivalries in the history of this game, I don't know that people are throwing out Raiders Seahawks, So obviously he didn't talk to Dan Snyder.
That was Wilson that came across.
Offside, number 95, defense, unabated to the quarterback, 5-yard penalty, still first down.
So a quick and easy 5 yards for the Cowboys, but they have to get the ball down the field into the end zone and then hope to get it back on an onside kick. They have no timeouts left.
You know, I say that about, obviously didn't talk to Dan Snyder because Dan Snyder is passionate and a lifelong Redskin fan about what it means to beat the Dallas Cowboys.
Big marks await this roster and certainly the head coach and the defensive coordinator if the Redskins can hang on. Here is Witten. Witten slides down at the 36. An 18-yard catch and run as the clock continues to wind.
Yeah, and the one thing that Washington can't afford to have is a big play touchdown. If they can allow, even if Dallas scores, if it's under 2 minutes, then they just have to recover the onside kick. They just can't give up a big play.
What a hit on Tony Romo as he completes it to Witten. And I don't know how, but Romo pops up and goes running down the field to get his team to the line.
Yeah, good pressure off the backside, and because Washington not wanting to give up a big play, there's a lot of air right now around that 15 to 25-yard area.
Andre Carter just leveled Tony Romo, and the Dallas quarterback popped right up. This one is to Witten, and the pass is dropped. That stops the clock with 2 minutes 25 seconds left in this game, and here's that hit on Tony Romo.
Yeah, he didn't know this one was coming either and got him right in the backside. But, you know, hey, for as much as Tony Romo moves around in the pocket and avoids the hits, if you're going to play in this position and you're going to be as good as what he has been, you've got to be able to take those hits, and he can take them.
Ball is at the Washington 44 as Dallas tries to get it right down the field and keep their hopes alive of starting 4-0. Romo steps up, throws, has a receiver, Austin, who's down inside the 25. And Romo would like to get another play away before the 2-minute warning as the Cowboys hustle to the line. Romo, end zone, T.O. off his hands and incomplete. Tried for the spinning catch, and that'll take us to the 2-minute warning. Carlos Rogers was back there for Washington. 1:58 left. Cowboys very close to coming up with that touchdown. T.O. couldn't hang on. A 1:58 to go. No timeouts on the scoreboard for the Cowboys, down by 9. 2nd down and 10. Romo, a quick throw, and he missed Miles Austin.
I don't know if you caught it, but Tony Romo was hitting his hip, and he was trying to give Miles Austin a route to run. He wanted to change the route, and it looked like Miles did what he thought he was supposed to do, or what Tony Romo wanted him to do, but based on Tony's reaction, it wasn't.
So the incompletion brings up 3rd down and 10. There's the day for Romo. 7th straight game with an interception for Tony Romo. It was Chris Horton who came away with his 3rd, the rookie, earlier in this half. Romo floats it for Owens, who makes a one-handed catch, and he's shoved out of bounds with a 1st down by Rodgers. That is a big catch for the Cowboys if they want any chance of coming back.
Well, it is, because otherwise they're going to be 4th and 10 and come down to one play in order to pick up a 1st down. And a nice job by Terrell Owens being able to pull that one in. Not an easy catch. So sees him at the last minute and lays it out there, hoping to give him a chance to get underneath it. And fortunately for Dallas, Owens was able to do that.
It's 1st down and 10. The Cowboys could get a 1st down without getting a touchdown. High snap. Romo buying time, hits Austin for the quick touchdown.
Tell you, there for a while, it looked like Tony might have been able to run that one in himself. But as we talked about, just a good job of keeping his eyes up the field. And then Austin getting the ball and taking it into the end zone.
2 straight weeks with a touchdown for Miles Austin. He missed the season opener with a bad knee, and that extra point means that if the Cowboys can get an onside kick, a field goal would win it. Romo 5 for 8 on that drive, an 82-yard drive, and the touchdown here to Miles Austin.
And I'm not even sure that that play was designed, because Reed Dowdy, the safety, came running underneath thinking that they may throw a slant or something real quick. And then when he got there, Miles Austin went underneath him and ran by him. It was just probably a pretty good reaction by Miles Austin, seeing Romo looking for a little help. And now it comes down to an onside kick.
Tony Romo just tied you, Troy, with his 13th 300-yard passing day. That touchdown to Austin put him over the top. And don't forget, the OT is coming up, presented by Lowe's, and it will include an emotional interview with Matt Bryant. He and his wife losing their 3-month-old during the week. He kicked today, made 3 field goals for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in their win over Green Bay. But right now, we've got an onside kick coming to determine if the Cowboys will have any chance to win this game.
Yeah, Jason Campbell knows that he's done all he can do. Now it comes down to the special teams.
High into the air, off the hands of Hurd, and out of bounds. They had a legitimate shot at it as Sam Hurd went up into the air, and the ball went through his hands and out of bounds. It was a terrific onside kick by Folk, as this thing got a lot of air, and then watch Hurd on the end of it. Certainly had a chance at it, off his fingertips, out of bounds, and the Redskins will take over.
Well, I'll tell you,
Kickoff out of bounds was the last touch by a member of the kicking team. That 5-yard penalty would be added from the dead ball spot. Washington's ball, first down.
So the Redskins now will have a chance to end this game. And Jim Zorn, Troy, has come in here in his first year as head coach, and in this rivalry, and maybe the last one at this stadium, looks like he and his Redskins will come out of here with their 3rd straight win.
Yeah, and you know, it's still early, and we all know that. But I think that after the last 2 weeks, when they beat New Orleans and beat Arizona, I think the jury was still out. And people were wondering, okay, what is this team really all about? And I think that got answered here today. Coming to Texas Stadium against what most believe, and I'm one of them, that this Dallas team is the best in the NFL, and they beat them here on their home turf. Just a great win for this Washington organization.
So now the Redskins will head to Philadelphia next week, and look at what Jim Zorn accomplished. You have to go back to George Allen. Jack Pardee, his first year as the Redskins head coach, couldn't win in his first try at Dallas. Same for Gibbs in '81. Same for Richie Pettibone, North Turner, Terry Robisky in 2000, Marty Schottenheimer in 2001, and Steve Spurrier lost in his first crack at it as the Redskins head coach here in Dallas. So losers were those head coaches in their first tries winning for the Redskins at Texas Stadium. Jim Zorn breaks that streak.
Yeah, and with the Giants having the bye week, you know, this with Dallas losing, I mean, the NFC East just got a whole lot tighter.
The Giants will be on top 3-0. And then you've got 2 3-1 teams with the Redskins, the Cowboys, and don't forget the 2-1 Philadelphia Eagles will play at Chicago tonight. What a division. And there is the division updated. One more snap of the football, and it will be a 2-point victory for the Redskins here in Dallas. That'll do it. What a day for Jason Campbell. He just continues to mature.
Well, we watched it all day, and he had a heck of a performance. And Greg Blosch, defensive coordinator, what a great job he did. But the guy leading it all is that man right there, Jim Zorn.
We will take a break. We will come back, then get you to the OT presented by Lowe's. So much to talk about. The upset win for the Redskins on the road as they beat their rival, the Dallas Cowboys, by 2.